Hello and welcome to the In the Pen podcast, a podcast about relievers, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by Pitcher List's bullpen expert, Rick Graham. Rick, how's it going? Did you get anything good for Christmas?
Um, I got a really nasty cold for Christmas. I don't know about anything else yet because I haven't been able to see any family.
Not cold, but a
A
cold.
cold. Yeah, I know. I don't want to blame it on the Pollock wedding. But I don't know. I may have caught in something there. A couple days later, got a really nasty fever. It wasn't the flu. It wasn't COVID. I don't know what it was, but still getting over it. Felt like I was like Mason Miller throwing fastballs with my fever temps Tuesday through
Whoa.
Thursday, like 103.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I've gotten yet. I got a book. I know that. I got a baseball book, so there's that. But other than that, still still trying to figure it out. But yeah, hoping to catch up this weekend and over New Year's with family and all that. So hoping your Christmas went a little bit better for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, for a Jewish guy, it went pretty well.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, did Hanukkah in Hawaii, and now I'm back and did
awesome.
Christmas with everybody else. Got some pants, got some like way too much candy. My mom just
Yeah.
always goes way overboard
Same.
with the candy. But yeah, no, it was a good to spend some time with the family. It always is, and to have some time off from work. I still get the whole next week off too
Yeah.
before I start my new job. So excited for the next chapter for 2026. We'll probably record next in
Yeah. We'll be.
2026 after
Yeah.
this podcast. So
Yeah. We got some time after this. So yeah. Mm.
that's right. But last episode, we went through so many transactions we didn't even have time to get to the main topic that we had, and today we were like,
Gonna happen the
okay,
same.
let's not even try. Let's not even go for it. Let's just go more transactions because we thought the all the frenzy during the winter meetings was going to be the bulk of the relief pitcher movement, but little did we know that it would hype up even more over this past couple of weeks. So we've got even more transactions to discuss since then, everything from free agency to trades to injuries and news and rumors. We'll get through all of that today. And if we have time, we'll touch on the best remaining closers and maybe the teams that are looking to acquire one of those closers for the remainder of the offseason. But let's jump right in with the transactions and start with probably yeah, definitely the biggest signing so far, or not so far, but
The
since our
past
last podcast.
18
Yeah,
days. Yeah.
that's right. Tyler Rogers signed with the Toronto Blue Jays for 3 years and $37 million. Comes with a $9 million club option for 2029 with a $1 million buyout. And that club option can go all the way up to $12 million if Rogers reaches at least 60 appearances in 2028 or at least 110 appearances combined between 2027 and 2028. The Blue Jays add to their bullpen, and it looks very solid with one of the most consistent relievers in baseball, the submariner Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, it's a crazy. It's a like so, such a big contract for a guy who you can we think velocity is what gets you money, and Tyler Rogers is topping out at 83, 84,
Mhm.
making this type of money. So yeah, good for him. Good signing for the Blue Jays too. I know they had talked a little bit about, or a lot kind of about potentially replacing Jeff Hoffman. Um, they didn't really need to. I mean, I think even if Hoffman does falter, they still have some fallback closer options there. But getting a guy like Rogers at least like solidifies that gap to whoever the closer is or whatever they
Mhm.
do between the sixth and the ninth. So yeah, Rogers is a good get for them. It's a big contract for a guy like that who does that. But yeah,
And
good.
he's like going to be 35
I
this next
know.
year.
I think the one thing is like age. Like his arm's not gonna be like the age, the mileage on his arm's not gonna be an
Mhm.
issue. Um, the one thing, like guys like that, the one thing I with like when they get older, the thing that does I don't know if he's had a history of it, but like back injuries just because of that, like that, arm angle thrown from down there
Mhm.
definitely takes a little bit of a toll on your back and side and all like oblique stuff like that. But I mean, as far as his arm goes, there shouldn't be much concern. And yeah, I wonder, he had such a good, usage and work rate with the Giants. I hope the Blue Jays bullpen's a little bit deeper all around. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure if the Giants would just roll Rodgers out there like 3, 4 days in a row if like they needed to. I don't know. Like I could see Rodgers holds numbers coming down a little bit. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Maybe the overall numbers come down a little bit, but he should still be good for he's like one of the like tried and true like 20 plus holds guys every year, like lock it in.
Mhm.
That's what you're getting that at least. So I think, still a safe holds option. And yeah, just it makes the Blue Jays wanted to add an arm, and that's at least one of the better relief arms. If he's not a closer, it's still a good move for them.
Yeah, you're right to mention his holds numbers and the possibility of them coming down over the past 5 seasons. He's had 30 holds in 4 of them, so
Yeah.
pretty incredible. Last year, he had 32 to go with a 1.98 ERA and just a 16% strikeout rate, but Rogers isn't really a strikeout artist. He's more of a weak contact guy, but that bullpen looks pretty solid in Toronto. We really liked it last year. It sort of fell apart in the playoffs, but I think Rogers is gonna be that glue guy that allows somebody like Hoffman to have less pressure on him. You don't have to worry about trying to use your closer earlier in the ball game because you have shutdown guys like Rogers. And if Jimmy Garcia can stay healthy and Louis Varland can continue to build off the breakout he had last season, and we see some of the other guys step up as well, that bullpen looks really solid in Toronto.
Yeah, I think it's better than getting Garcia back and bringing in Rogers is better than what are they lost Sir Anthony Dominguez, who
Hmm.
Garcia should be that but better, more consistent, and then Rogers is something they didn't really have that I don't know, they were using like they were using like starters and like key bullpen roles and
Hmm.
Chris Bassett kind of like
Yeah.
like it's
And
like
they're throwing
Rogers
Varland every day too.
Varlin every single day because they had no one else. Yeah, so this helps build some depth there. But they still have like intriguing guys like Varland and Brandon Fisher if those guys break out too. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's it's a good bullpen they've got building there.
For sure. The Rangers saw the lack of depth in their bullpen and made a move to acquire 3 different relievers via free agency, re signing Alexis Diaz to a 1 year deal, as well as Southpaw Tyler Alexander to a 1 year, $1.125 million deal, which includes $1.125 million worth of incentives. And then they also, most notably, brought back Chris Martin via a 1 year, $4 million deal that includes $1 million of incentives, as he'll get $200,000 each for 35, 40, 45, 50, and 55 innings. But the Rangers bullpen was looking terrible, and now they've added Chris Martin, Alexis Diaz, and Tyler Alexander.
Yeah, it's depth. I mean, bodies for a bullpen that needed bodies. It's kind of, I mean, not too different from what they did last year. And it did work out for them last year. Like Armstrong was a huge find. Martin was good for when he was healthy. They got Robert Garcia, which was a nice acquisition. I hope there's more. I don't know what else they can really do. Maybe via trade. But like I mean, I don't know what Alexis Diaz is brings to the table at this point anymore. Alexander's a fine, like eighth bullpen guy.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, Martin probably still has something left in the tank. I again, we talked all last year about like, will he close? Is he going to close? Does he want to close? Do the like Rangers want him to close? Didn't seem like that they wanted him in that role at all, or he didn't want to be in that role at all. So that's still kind of leaves an opening in Texas for what they're going to do in the honestly, what are they going to do in the seventh, eighth, and ninth? I have no idea at this point. Still, it's very wide open. Um, and we're running out of options in free agency. So,
Yeah.
um, I think Garcia is slated for one of those seventh, eighth, ninth innings, and I guess Martin could be. I don't know how reliable he is to stay healthy at this point, and
Hmm.
given his age and everything, but maybe he's one of those other guys. But they still need like another option. So, um, yeah, we'll see if they can land something here, but yeah, at least they're bringing in they just needed bodies because the depth chart
Right.
last time we talked, it was like, yeah, they were just guys that were, minor league kind of journeymen that they had projected to be in that bullpen. So yeah,
Hmm.
now at least they have some interesting bodies, I guess. I mean, maybe Alexis Diaz has something can prove something here. There was a time where he was actually good. It wasn't just yeah, you know.
Mhm. I feel like a reunion with Kirby Yates makes some sense.
That's like the one thing I'm thinking at this point. I don't even know. I don't know if I haven't heard anything about Kirby Yates really.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's like he had success there. The, yeah, you know, we'll talk about Sean Armstrong. I can't believe that they just let Armstrong walk, especially for it wasn't a ton of money. Just because he had a lot of success there last year, just run it back. That's would be at least palatable. But yeah,
Yeah,
like Kirby Yates maybe is that guy, but he might end up being out of their price range. I don't know.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I think they should pony up that money for at least a couple other guys. They did a good job to bring in
Yeah.
some depth here, but there's still some work to do, especially if this team sees itself as a contender, which I mean, that's still worth questioning at this point, considering the exodus of talent we saw at the non-tender deadline and the trade of Marcus Semien, et cetera.
Yeah, but even still, like it's you give up Simeon, you bring in a guy like Nimmo. It's like
Mhm.
you're bringing in a veteran who costs a lot of money. Like there's still,
Right. But
you know,
there's more of like a there's more of I think a long-term play with Brandon Nimmo over Semien.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know. Were they serious about trying to move Seager, or is he like sounds like they're going to hold on to Seager.
Right.
They still have Degrom and Eovaldi, so it's like they're not exactly young.
Right.
And they
Yeah,
have
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't,
It's also
it's a
weird.
weird it's a weird roster to kind of
Yeah.
figure
They
out.
like let go of Jonah Heim to sign Danny Jansen.
Yeah,
That was weird. Yeah, they let go of Adolis Garcia to make room for Nimmo,
for
I
Nimmo
guess. And
essentially, yeah, and
the rotation's solid, but yeah, the bullpen is not playoff worthy as it stands.
yeah, it feels like one of those teams that's like in limbo. They kind of have to pick a direction, and like they're
Hmm.
not spending money, but they're not shedding money. So they again just pick it, find a direction, do something,
Right.
or
Right.
just be an 80 win team. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
One team that has clearly chosen a direction, and especially in regards to how they're attacking their bullpen, is the Detroit Tigers. They already brought back Kyle Finnegan earlier in the offseason. And then, to our surprise, they went ahead and signed Kenley Jansen to a 1 year, $9 million contract that includes a $2 million buyout on a $12 million club option for 2027. Jansen's not guaranteed the closer job, but considering where he's at in his career, I'm sure that was part of the discussions when they signed him that Jansen would get a chance at closing again. Last year, the legendary closer had a 2.59 ERA, 29 saves, and a 24% strikeout rate, but he'll be in competition with Will Vest and Kyle Finnegan. I have a lot of confidence in this bullpen. It's very
yeah.
solid.
Yeah, it's a really good and it's a good this is like a really good situation for Jansen outside of having, we can talk about him being in a potential committee or having competition, but like, Detroit, um, that ballpark, that potential outfield defense is pretty good.
Right.
Parker Meadows, um, that I mean, the AL Central is like the best place to pitch. So yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, really good situation for Jansen to finish off his career if this is it, or he's got the club option, which maybe. I mean, if he doesn't get 25 saves this year,
Yeah.
um, maybe there's something mutual there for next year. But yeah, I like the situation. I think I don't I think AJ Hinch wants to keep we talked about all year and all last year. It's like he wants to keep his, the his options open as far as the ninth inning, but he does, when things were going well with Will Vest, he was sticking with Will Vest in the ninth. I think as long as Jansen is pitching well, I think he gets the first crack at the ninth, and he should you continue to see I mean, there's no reason like Will Vest hasn't. I don't think he's earned the closer role. He can mix in as a closer.
Hmm.
He's fine in the seventh inning. He's really a better high leverage guy who can go like 1.2 innings when you need him to.
Hmm.
I think Finnegan makes a lot more sense as like a setup guy the where he's at right now. So like him in the eighth, Jansen in the ninth with Vest as the high leverage guy just makes that's how it should, or that's how I think it's going to end up. When the
Hmm.
cards are played.
It makes sense that they would have all these closer-esque relievers because of Jansen's just durability. Not
Yeah, this
only
also
does he
helps.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got the heart issues that have
Yeah.
kept him out multiple times throughout
He's
the
old.
past
Yeah.
few years, but it's, yeah, you don't want him going back to back or 3 days in a row. And the fact that you
Hmm.
have both Vest and Finnegan, guys who have a lot of experience closing, to fill in whenever Jansen isn't available, I feel like that works really well. There's never going to be a situation where AJ Hinch doesn't have a guy with closer experience ready to go in
Right.
the ninth.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, there's 3 options now that he should feel comfortable with. And
Yeah,
yeah, 4 if you wanna include Holton in there.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I feel like yeah, like, that's another point, like, you don't have to run Jansen out there because if he's just a guy you're willing to use at any point, yeah, then you're talking about someone you wanna use, like, 60, 70, innings a year, but
Hmm.
maybe he's just, like, the ninth inning guy, doesn't pitch back-to-backs, like, just let him just because we've seen him in the past pitch in non-safe situations, and it's always he's like one of those prototypical closers who like when they get into a game where it's not a safe situation, like they're not locating as well, they're not as like body or into it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So just maybe just, ninth inning only in safe situations only. Back to backs. Yeah, you have Finnegan and Vest. Like there's at least options for Hinch, but which heading into the offseason without Finnegan and Jansen, it was a little bit of a question mark is what are they going to do in the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth? But now I
Hmm.
think it's covered.
Yeah, definitely. From new Tigers closer to former Tigers closer, Jason Foley signed with the San Francisco Giants for 1 year and $2 million. This won't be an immediate impact on the bullpen as Foley is recovering from shoulder surgery. So he is unlikely to make his Giants debut until midway through the 2026 campaign. The Giants also went out and brought back Gregory Santos via a minor league contract. He was a pretty pretty notable up and coming reliever for the Giants a while back, and he got traded to the White Sox. I can't remember in which deal, and then he subsequently Santos was traded to the Mariners for Prelander Baroa.
Mm,
Now he was DFA'd and has rejoined the Giants roster. He'll earn $1.3 million if he can make the opening day roster. And as things currently stand, he's got a pretty good shot at making it considering the state of the Giants bullpen. Um, these are certainly good reinforcements to add to a bullpen that needs a lot of work. But the fact that you won't see Foley until midseason and that Santos was like a DFA waiver guy who
yeah.
is like not even guaranteed to be on the major league roster doesn't really inspire a ton of confidence here.
There's upside here. It's actually fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I like how we wedged Kenley Jansen in between the Rangers news and the Giants news because like those two teams, like why were you not like high like in on a guy like Kenley Jansen? Like the
Yeah.
Tigers have two closers, you guys have none. Especially
Uh-huh.
the Giants. The Giants could afford giving Jansen 1 year 9 million with an option. Like go play on the West. I'm sure he would have preferred to be out on the West Coast too. Like I don't think that would have been an issue.
No.
Where he's guaranteed to close.
He's such a Dodgers fan, I guess.
Yeah, maybe he's that loyal. I mean, it's just like I like these like sure you're not there's no risk in these signings, Foley and Santos, and like Santos. When he's healthy, he's got pretty good stuff. I don't know. He's just never been healthy the last 3 years. Um, But yeah, like the Giants and the Rangers, those teams both need to find something better than these bargain bin, relief options. But yeah, I mean, for if this isn't the Giants' answer to who might be the closer or who might be the backup in case Ryan Walker is their closer and he
Mhm.
fails, then I yeah, I don't know. I just want a little bit more from the Giants, especially because I know they at least like are willing to spend a little money. I know the Rangers aren't, so whatever. But
Right.
like the Giants should be able to afford a decent closer option or backup closer option.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see Santos back. I've always seen a lot of potential in him, and I don't know how much weight to put on Foley, but it really
Mhm.
doesn't feel like they're really attacking this bullpen, and it's an area of need for the San Francisco
Yeah,
Giants.
I mean Foley's not going to be there for the first half of the year, and then Santos isn't even guaranteed to make the roster. So it's
Right.
like,
Not great.
sure, all right.
Yep. The Angels made a couple of acquisitions of veteran relievers, and I've got breaking news. Jordan Romano is actually pronounced Jordan Romano. That
I heard
sounds
this.
so wrong. It's
I
right. I
heard
just
this
looked it
on
up on Baseball Reference.
yeah, yeah, no, I know. I heard this listening to CBS guys, their
Hmm.
podcast. And it broke my mind when I was listening to it because I'm like, I was always torn between Romano and Romano, like romaine lettuce.
Uh
And it's
huh.
neither. It's Romano, Jordan
Romano.
Romano.
Yeah, that sounds really wrong.
I know.
But
It's hard to say.
nonetheless, Romano signed
Romano.
a 1 year, $2 million contract with the Angels, and the Angels also brought aboard Southpaw Drew Pomeranz via a 1 year, $4 million contract. The Angels always seem to be drawn to veteran relievers for some reason, but this bullpen is looking very, very solid. We were already pretty excited about the return of Ben Joyce, a full season from Robert Stevenson, more growth from Ryan Zefferjon, and Reed Detmer's probably going into the rotation, but possibly back into the bullpen. Really made that a strong group. And the only thing it was missing was
Mm.
guys you could really rely on for innings, which is something that the Angels struggle with because not only do they have not great pitching development, so you get guys who come up and then they can't really figure their stuff out, but you get a lot of guys getting injured. So the acquisitions of Romano and Pomeranz will add stability to an Angels bullpen that I think has a really high ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, if this bullpen is able to be healthy at the start of the season, stay healthy, yeah, it's really, really, really deep. Even yeah, like these like the younger guys and Zephyr John and Fermin, like those guys take steps
Hmm.
forward. Could be a really electric bullpen. Again, the what I don't know. I mean, 2 million is lower than I thought Romano was gonna get. I don't know, it takes a while to get used to it. Especially considering like Jason Foley or Jordan Romano.
Romano.
I you're only getting a half a season from Foley, and we haven't even really seen much upside. We've seen like a glimpse of upside from Foley in the past, but yeah,
Yeah.
Romano has been a top closer. Not like 2 years ago. It hasn't been that long. Like last year was a
Right.
disaster, obviously, but there was a glimmer of hope for 1 month last year that makes me think that there's still something in there. I don't think I don't know. I mean, they're gonna probably give him a chance to close at least at some point. If he's healthy and looks good in spring training, like he's got the longest track record of closing. So, um, but yeah, I still want to believe in Robert Stevenson. I don't know what Ben Joyce's health situation is, but if he's around, if he's available for opening day, obviously he's going to play a factor. Um, but yeah, I mean, Pomeranz getting. I think I saw Drew Pomeranz was talking about how he only signed there because that's where he lives. He just didn't want to sign anywhere else.
Right.
But yeah, still good. It's a nice left-handed addition to complement Burke there. So yeah, Angels bullpen they might be doing something right. That's what makes me feel like, what am I missing here? Like
Hmm.
what's wrong? Like what's is it's like
With
either
Romano.
way, yeah, like Romano, like 2 million. This feels like there's no risk there, obviously. So it's like
Right.
what. It's just like there's a lot of other like again all these other teams who like need guys with closer experience and like they couldn't throw 2+ million at Jordan Romano. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, maybe there's something in like his physical that suggests that
That's
the underperformance he had last year
And
was
that would be
injury
classic
related.
Angels. Yeah, I mean, there's signing another hurt reliever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if all these guys if like you have Joyce, Stevenson, Romano healthy in March, like seeing how that closer how that closer situation turns out will be fun.
Could be a really, really good bullpen there
Yeah,
in
just
LA, but
they could
also
all
it could
feed off each
go
other.
the other way.
Right. If the health isn't there, then all of a sudden yeah, like Drew Pomeranz closing out games or Zephyr John, who it could be good, could be bad. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
a lot of a mixed bag with Zephyr John last year.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes in LA. High ceiling, low floor. We'll
Mm.
continue with the transactions, the free agent transactions from the past couple of weeks. But first, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing free agent reliever transactions. We just got done with a pair of Angel signings, and we'll continue with the plethora of Southpaws that were signed over the past couple of weeks as Caleb Ferguson inked a 1 year, $4.5 million deal with the Cincinnati Reds. Much needed left handed help for the Reds. They had only Sam Moll projected for that bullpen. Now they'll get a veteran with a lot of experience in Caleb Ferguson. He's found success throughout his career, and he's one of the more unsung lefties. But lefties are always in high demand, and even a guy like Ferguson, who had a sub 19% strikeout rate last year, still got $4.5 million.
Yeah, I think of all the group of lefties who all kind of fell into this $4.5 million range.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ferguson's the one I'm least excited about, but he's the youngest, so maybe that's the Reds thinking there's maybe a little bit more upside
Right.
here. It's
High floor,
untouched.
in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's gonna be a solid innings eating lefty at the
Mm-hmm.
worst. But yeah, like you said, the Reds needed one with just Sam Moll on the roster, so um yeah, they got a solid lefty who probably doesn't factor into too many holds or saves, but someone who's solid middle relief depth for them.
Yeah. Nothing too exciting there, but he'll definitely help out that Reds bullpen. That's Caleb Ferguson. The Cubs did the same thing that the Rangers did in acquiring three different relievers over the past couple of weeks. First, they re-signed lefty Caleb Thielbar to a 1 year, $4 million deal that includes a $500,000 buyout on a 2027 mutual option. He's also got incentives to boost his 2026 earnings. Then they went ahead and signed Jacob Webb to a 1 year, $1.5 million contract that includes a $2.5 million club option for 2027, as well as $500,000 worth of incentives in both the 2026 and 2027 seasons. And then they went all out by signing Hunter Harvey to a 1 year, $6 million deal. That seems pretty pricey for Hunter Harvey. He does have a
I
high
know.
ceiling, but some pretty notable additions to this Cubs bullpen.
Yeah, I had to double check that Hunter Harvey because I'm like 6 million. I no one like that's not a number that's been thrown around this offseason. That seems
Right.
high. Did it? Yeah, it was 6 million. Okay. I mean, a lot of upside, obviously, if Hunter Harvey can
Yeah.
stay healthy. He's just never ever stayed healthy for a full season. So, if you're the Cubs, you have 6 million to throw around. That's worth the gamble. And I do kind of like what they've done altogether with this bullpen.
Oh, they've got so many guys. They've already added Phil Maton,
Yeah,
and then to go with Thielbar, Harvey, and Webb, and then they already also
Milner.
signed Hobie Milner. So a lot of additions to the bullpen.
This is similar, very similar to what they did last year. Just just stacking veterans in that bullpen, and
Hmm.
I think they have a pretty good group, at least if not the same as last year. It's like very similar with this group they have behind Palencia. Um, and then yeah, you still have room for Porter Hodge to stick on the roster. It does potentially kick off Ben Brown, which is kind of annoying. But I I don't know. They also said that they want to keep Ben Brown in the rotation and
I mean, you could
keep
have
having him
Ben
start.
Brown in the long reliever
Yeah,
role
yeah. That
instead of Javier Assad.
that ultimately might be uh, the better option, but yeah, I think at some point Ben Brown will, or at least should, play a part in this bullpen. Injuries
Hmm.
will happen, especially with guys like Hunter Harvey um, on your roster. So,
Right.
well, yeah, I think this bullpen turned out. I think they're probably done spending. So I think good news for Daniel Palencia. They didn't go out and Maton was the biggest ad, and he's not going to take that closer role. I don't think so. Yeah, Palencia should be safe in the role heading into the season. And yeah, pretty solid group behind him that should be able to get him the ball in the ninth. So, um, yeah, that Hunter Harvey deal, if that could be, that's like a again make or break. Like that could be worthless, or it could be a huge steal if
Right.
he's healthy.
That's right. A reliever that broke out for the Cubs last year was Brad Keller, and he signed a 2 year, $22 million deal with the Phillies. Somewhat notable considering they had a very stacked bullpen over the past couple of years. They will be returning Jose Alvarado. But with Yohan Duran closing, it doesn't look like Brad Keller is going to get an opportunity to close. And that did make some guys expendable. We'll talk about one of them later, but Brad Keller to the Phillies will probably be their top right-handed setup option.
Yeah, it's they were able to add Duran last mid season last year,
Hmm.
to help fill their closer role, but like they still were kind of missing that role that Jeff
Hoffman.
Hoffman had played. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel like that's where Keller fits really well, where you can bring him in fifth inning, sixth inning, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just being that stopper with the just electric stuff to who has big strikeout, upside. Um, I feel like that's one of the pieces they missed last year, and that'll be probably what Brad Keller's role will be. They still have, I think, Alvarado and Kirkering are more of your traditional setup guys, your seventh, eighth
Hmm.
inning guys. And then yeah, Keller can be kind of float around and just get important outs and get out of jams when needed. And Tanner Banks as your secondary lefty. It's a pretty good bullpen. And even some of the other guys they've added, and Bolin and McCambly could be very interesting as well. So yeah, I do like what this bullpen's overall. They've had some subtractions, but I feel like this bullpen overall is better now than it was last year. At least the Alvarado suspension was threw a wrench into everything, but um, yeah, I feel like just not having Jordan Romano as your closer automatically makes it better. So.
Yeah. They also added Zach Pop via a major league deal, which was notable considering Pop hasn't really been super
Yeah,
notable or super
I
great the past couple of years.
don't think he's gonna make. I don't think he makes I don't know. That's a weird one. Teams always give him a chance, and there was a time where, yeah, like, I understand, like, there's some intrigue, but, I mean, teams are
Hmm.
always giving him a chance, and he has just never really figured it out. I guess he had 10 holds in 2024. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if he makes the roster. There's other options there, and, they could always go out and add someone, but I think, yeah, like Max Lazar might even be better than him, and
Hmm.
but at least he has options, so that might be, give Pop a chance and then just move on quickly if you need to.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen this bullpen look stronger, but I think you're right about adding Keller to replace that Hoffman role that they were sort of missing last year. It takes a lot of pressure off of the rest of the bullpen, where you can use somebody like Keller for multiple innings or really in any high leverage moment. It makes
Mhm.
Kirkering and Alvarado's roles more strict, where it's like, Alvarado's taken down a lefty heavy lineup in the seventh or eighth, and Kirkering doing the opposite against righties, where Duran can just sit in the ninth inning and just do
Yeah.
his job. And this lineup is, or this roster is really coming together in Philadelphia. I wonder if they're going to upgrade their outfield at all, but I feel like the upgrades to the bullpen are probably complete.
Yeah, and probably bring back Real Muto, I would imagine, if, like,
Yeah, the
if you
catcher. Yeah.
yeah, you do that. I don't know what they're gonna do with Nick Castellanos, but yeah, the rest of the I mean, yeah, the rest of the I mean, they're still there. They're still gonna be a contender. I think the bullpen
Hmm.
will be really good because yeah, that's what they want. They have the bullpen like they wanted, how they wanted to use it back in 2024, 23 when they had Hoffman. So yeah, I think this it's a good deal for Keller and for the Phillies.
Another reliever signed a 2-year, $22 million deal to go to the NL East, and that was Luke Weaver signing with the New York Mets. He will stick in New York, but he'll head to the National League side in Queens to act as the setup man to Devin Williams. So the Mets were like, hey, I really like that Yankees bullpen. I'm going to go get their top two guys, Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, will now be the top two arms in the Mets bullpen, which could still use some reinforcements as things currently stand. It's a very hit or miss bullpen at this rate, but having these eighth and ninth inning locked up with Williams and Weaver is, I think, pretty reliable.
Yeah, I I think Weaver will bounce back. I mean, I'm more confident in Devin Williams than Weaver bouncing back this year.
Right.
I think this was kind of, a little bit of a panic buy. The Mets, like, this is right after Brad Keller
Mhm.
signed, and I think the Mets just wanted to make sure that they didn't miss out on another big reliever. So, um, yeah, I mean, he could be fine. He should be fine. But yeah, like behind him, it's like AJ Minter, who we don't even know if he's going to be healthy for opening day,
Mhm.
and Adbert Alzolay, who we haven't seen in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's still missing like still missing like two or three arms there. So I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. They've kind of maybe they'll move some starters, and Jonah Tong could probably be a pretty good reliever.
Yikes.
That's not ideal, but yeah, I don't know. Again, there's not that much out there. They've been mentioned in the trade market. Like if Trevor McGill's available, that could be that could be that all of a sudden kind of makes this bullpen really interesting. If you got Williams, McGill, Weaver, Minter, Rayleigh, Alzolay, sure,
You
that
gotta do something like that at this point, though. They're
yeah,
really fumbling this offseason.
I know, and yeah, there's obviously pressure from the fans, and yeah, just because they're at a weird point where I like, are they trying to rebuild slow like, kinda quietly? But then you have Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, so it's like, you can't really do that, but, like, the
No.
rest like, the whole lineup is a mess outside of those 2 guys, and, the rotation's still empty. I mean, I don't know, Clay Holmes, I guess, is it like, there's not a ton of upside here, and
Mhm.
so, well, yeah, it's an interesting still a mess in with the Mets, but I mean, yeah, you go out and get a guy like McGill, then the bullpen all of a sudden becomes less of a, you can kind of okay, the bullpen's okay for now.
Yeah.
Um, then figure out the rest of the rotation and one or two more bats. But yeah, there's still definitely a lot of work to do in New York with the Mets.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Yankees haven't done anything either, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is a very top-heavy bullpen right now with Williams and Weaver at the top, and the rest of it sort of up in the air. Brooks Raley may have a lot of work to do next year. Next, the Guardians signed Sean Armstrong to a 1 year, $4 million deal that includes a $1.5 million buyout on an $8 million mutual option for 2027. Armstrong was very solid for the Rangers last year, was their closer pretty much to end the season. And now he'll head to Cleveland, where he won't be the closer, but will be one of the top setup options there, probably behind Hunter Gaddis, or at least competing with Hunter Gaddis. But Guardians always find a way to put together a really good bullpen. They've added a couple of options this year. I think the most notable one that's projected to be in the bullpen is Connor Brogdon, but Sean Armstrong will add some more depth to this Cleveland bullpen.
Yeah, looking into I'm starting to like write like the player profiles for each bullpen,
Mhm.
deeper dive, and I started with the Guardians for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, like what they've done this offseason. Even like the more I looked into Brogdon, I get it. I see the appeal there.
Mhm.
And same of Colin Holderman, who they brought in for like nothing as well.
Right.
So those two guys in less than 2 million, and then Armstrong for what at most will be 5.5 million.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I again like I I don't understand why the Rangers couldn't match 5.5 million for Armstrong because he wanted to be there. There was mutual like
Interest.
interest, and the
Yeah.
Guardians outpaid you for a guy they're going to use in middle relief.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing for the Rangers. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what his role. I mean, he'll probably see a good amount of holds, but he's not gonna. I don't know if he'll be the same save plus holds, option as he was last year because he was like the Rangers had to rely on him in saves and hold situations all the time. But yeah, with Sabrowski and obviously Kate Smith in the ninth and Gaddis, there's a little bit more competition there, and even Festa was solid at times too. So, and like I said, I like Brogdon overall and Holderman. So there's competition there for Armstrong, but it's a very very solid good signing for the Guardians.
Yeah, should definitely help with that bullpen, which will be heavily reliant on a guy like Cade Smith, who's thrown a ton of innings over the past couple of years. So having some guys who can take the
Yeah.
workload away from him will certainly help. I mean, Stephen Vogt has continued the trend of Guardians relievers just having the highest workloads in all of baseball. So Sean better be ready to go pitch, and he probably will be because he also had 71 appearances last year, which not many relievers did, but Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith were two guys that did as
Yeah.
well. So looks like Armstrong is ready to show why he's got that last name. Strong arm. All right.
Like,
The Yankees brought back Paul Blackburn via a 1 year, $2 million deal that includes $100,000 of incentives for 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120 innings pitched, which could suggest that he might be used in the rotation. But we saw him used out of the bullpen last year after leaving Queens and going to the Bronx, and he looked pretty solid. He had a decent strikeout rate that we haven't really seen from
from him.
Blackburn in the past. He's always been a Toby-esque starting pitcher, but now back with the Yankees for 1 year, $2 million. He's going to be a guy that can give you multiple innings and pitch in a lot of games, but maybe there's some ceiling that the Yankees have been able to unlock with Blackburn.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2 million's not much of a risk. At least solid depth, long relief arm who could, give you starts if you need to. But yeah, maybe there is something there in shorter stints where his stuff plays up a little bit. I wouldn't expect too much fantasy production from him this year, but yeah, it's a solid depth signing for a team that's only made depth signings this offseason.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that's like Yankees fans aren't exactly thrilled, but I mean, it's a fine move. Yeah.
it's crazy how far that bullpen has fallen since
Yeah,
last year's trade deadline. They lost so many guys.
you lost, two big pieces, and then I mean, I don't know what to expect from Duvall at this point. He's very a lot of different outcomes for him, and
Mhm.
that's your top setup man now, right? And I give Fernando Cruz again. Like there's a wide range of outcomes for him as well. Very, yeah. We talk about hit or miss bullpens. I mean, that top three there could be wildly effective or wildly ineffective
Yeah,
right off the bat.
totally. The White Sox had a notable past couple of weeks, the biggest move being the acquisition of Munetaka Murakami, but they also added to their bullpen and maybe to their rotation. Sean Newcomb signed a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. The White Sox are intending to start him out in the rotation, which is sort of weird considering they want Grant Taylor in the bullpen. I'd rather switch that around considering how good Newcomb was out of the bullpen for the A's last year. But I mean, for $4.5 million, it's like the same deal that all the
It's
other
all those
lefties got.
lefties. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really like all those lefties were 4 or 4.5 million. Like which,
Hmm.
yeah, like I guess the guys who got the extra 500,000, good for you. Um, I d- yeah, I don't know how they said they're going to give him a shot in the rotation. I don't see it working just because his pitch mix. He's really a two pitch guy. Um, I don't know why you yeah, like, things really worked out for him in the bullpen last year when he finally got a
Hmm.
chance there full time. I don't know why we're messing with it, but if you wanna give him a chance in April, and if it doesn't work out, moving back to the bullpen, then yeah, it actually does, it lengthens that bullpen, especially gives them a nice lefty, combo with, was Ellard? Is that who I'm thinking of there?
Isert.
Heiser, yeah. So those two guys plus Taylor and Leisure with if Mike Vassell is anything. I mean, I like Wakelman Gonzalez a lot, and then they have the Rule 5 guys. So yeah, there's a very interesting bullpen here, and Newcomb has a little bit of save experience, I guess too. You throw in, he got a couple saves with the A's last year, so yeah, I think they'll give him a couple, maybe like five, give him 5 starts and see what happens. After April, make a decision, but yeah, I still believe in him as a really good bullpen arm if that's where he ends up. I think of all the lefties, who got that 4.5 million, if Newcomb is a full time reliever, I think I like him. I think I like him the most, honestly.
Yeah, he certainly got the highest ceiling. He's just been somebody that's been unable to stay healthy or really have consistent performance.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched well in that bad situation with the Athletics and
Hmm.
Sacramento last year. He was able to, that ballpark was not an issue for him. So yeah, I think there's think that's why teams see like some like maybe potential in him as a starter. But yeah, he can definitely make it work in the bullpen for sure.
All right, and our last transaction was the final closer going off the board of free agency, or guaranteed closer, and that's Pete Fairbanks signing with the Marlins for 1 year, $13 million. He'll earn $1 million worth of incentives and $500,000 if he's traded. Big move for the Marlins, who had been reliant on Calvin Fauché after the past couple of years, but then the injury to Ronnie Henriquez, who is undergoing Tommy John surgery, right? No, UCL reconstruction with internal brace.
The
So,
brace, yeah.
yeah, not as invasive. He should be ready for 2027 spring training.
Yep.
But without Henriquez, who we were super pumped about for 2027, Fairbanks will step in and step up as the closer for the Marlins in 2026.
Yeah, obviously this is like it really stinks to see Henriquez miss the entire season.
Terrible.
Um, it's such like why how does this happen in December? It's one of
Yeah,
those weird things.
what are they
Yeah.
doing that they
Uh,
finally noticed that now?
maybe he just started throwing again and felt something weird. That's my
Mm,
only guess. I don't know if he's been
yeah, that
playing
makes
winter
sense.
ball. I don't know. You might be maybe he's playing winter ball or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, that yeah, that really stinks with Henriquez. At least he should be very like 100% ready to go for 2027.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Fairbanks obviously made sense even before the injury to Henriquez, but
Sure.
yeah, once Henriquez was announced that he was going to miss the entire year, the Marlins kind of had to do this. I'm sure that they were not willing to go to 13 million until this injury news came out, and then they're
Mhm.
like, all right, let's just close the deal, Pete. So yeah, it's a really good fit for Fairbanks and for the Marlins, I think too, because
Mhm.
you get at least you get a good half year out of him, hopefully, and then you can trade him if you need to. Get a really good piece at the deadline. I feel like it's good for Fairbanks. The schedule's pretty favorable for him, especially in April. I think there's only like one or two series where he might be in like really cold weather. That's at most. So we shouldn't be too worried about the Raynaud's being an issue with him early in the season.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's a team that at least should, even if they don't win a ton of games, they should be in pretty close competitive games. So Fairbanks should get plenty of save chances. And I do have a little concern, yeah, like getting the ball to him, because I mean now it's Fauché and Bender and Jake
Nardi come back. Nardi come back.
Nardi's coming back. That could be exciting. Um but yeah, I don't know. That they'll probably the bullpen should be fine. Nothing spectacular, and I think though, yeah, this is a good fit for Fairbanks overall. Um, and yeah, I think 13 million. They declined his option for what 11 million, so he gets 2 million more than what the Rays had declined. Makes you wonder. They probably could have gotten something in the trade for him. Just someone probably would have given that, but
Mhm.
maybe a miscalculation by the Rays.
They rarely do that. So,
I don't know,
well,
man. I feel like more and more lately, the last 2 years have been like, I don't know what's going on, and I think they've just had so many people, like, leave.
leave. Yeah,
Yeah, like, I
the front
mean, look at the
office.
Marlins. I mean, they're got Peter Bendix as a Ray.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, I wonder if they've just had so much, yeah, so many people pulled out of that organization that they're slowly, because the trade, and we're gonna talk about, like, this trade that they made, and it's like,
Mhm.
I don't really love it I mean, it's okay for the Rays, and I don't think they probably didn't make out as bad as the Astros, but, yeah, they've done some questionable things, giving Cedric Mullins as much money as they did, giving, Steven Matz as much money as they had,
Maybe it's
sure.
not like maybe they're not falling back, but maybe the rest of the league is catching up to them. So like their ability to have that leg up over everybody is dwindling.
Yeah.
So they can't really like make sneaky moves like that anymore. They really gotta actually pay up for guys that they want and make trades that don't benefit them as much.
Yeah, like a guy like Pete Fairbanks back, like that's someone that they would have traded at some point and gotten an asset for that would have
Right.
been a
Last year.
contributor. Yeah, yeah,
I
like
don't know why they didn't do that last year, but
That's like not someone that they just that's I don't know. That's a weird and then you hang on to him just to not pick up his
Right.
option. It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." So, it wasn't
Maybe
about
teams know that they were gonna do that. I don't know.
yeah, but it's like it wasn't about I thought it might have been like, okay, you held on to him through the deadline because like there was some like mutual like Pete wanted to stay there. You guys agreed like you're gonna like the option like I yeah like there was something mutual there, and then they're like, no, we're
Mhm.
not going to pick up your option. We didn't trade you. We're not picking up your option, and then you're going to
Yeah.
sign for more money than your option. Yeah, just feels a little bit of a mismanaged situation.
Yeah. Weird. Weird. All right. Well, that wraps up all of the free agent signings from the past couple of weeks. Next, we'll move into the trades that occurred during that time span. But first, we're going to take another break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relief pitcher transactions from the past couple of weeks. We just went through all the free agents, and now we'll discuss some trades, starting with the Blue Jays acquiring Chase Lee from the Tigers in exchange for minor league reliever Johan Simon. Simon is a 24-year-old lefty who had a 3.42 ERA and a 25% strikeout rate at a ball, high A, and double A last year. But Chase Lee is the more notable of the two. He's a side armor who hasn't really had a
Mhm.
lot of success, but he pitched decently well for the Tigers last year, 4.10 ERA. But just a 24% strikeout rate. He did have a 3.87 xFIP. And I think what's most notable about the Chase Lee acquisition for the Blue Jays is how they're doing the sort of raise peacock arm angle thing,
Yeah, I know.
um, which makes a lot of sense. You get like Trey
Yeah,
Savage throwing from the top, and then you bring in somebody like Hoffman who's throwing more three quarters. Then you drop down to Chase Lee, and then all the way down to the bottom with Tyler Rogers. It could look very jarring to batters to have to face so many different arm angles.
yeah, and he's got options too. I mean, they have
Mhm.
a really they're building like a. I mean, yeah, look at their AAA bullpen right now projected
Yeah.
with Fisher and Flaherty and Lee and Paxton Schultz. Like that's
Uh
like
huh.
it's a really good AAA bullpen if those guys actually start the season there.
Hmm.
But that's yeah, there's like tons of reinforcements for you're gonna need at least 8 or ten guys to trust in the
Yeah.
bullpen throughout the year. So um
Their
and
pitching staff is really deep because they got so many
yeah,
starters
the
too. So
starters
many
too. Look
guys on
at
the 40
the
man.
I know. Um, yeah, Bowden France is still there. I mean, there's a lot of yeah, a lot of it's all no, I don't want to say Dodgers-esque, but like yeah, they're trying to build that like, the Red Sox are kind of doing it too. I've noticed it's like, you have to have, 8 to 10 starters
Hmm.
realistically that you can trust and then like having the extra bullpen arms as well, makes a huge difference throughout the year. So yeah, you see Fisher and Flaherty starting in the minors, and feels weird because of how good they were and how much they were trusted last year, but
Right.
they'll they'll end up getting, at least 40 innings probably next year. Guys will get hurt and, people will be ineffective, but yeah, that's really, really a deep pitching staff overall, and yeah, Lee's a nice again, like you add Tyler Rogers too. If Tyler Rogers gets hurt and you want someone who can kind of get to close to that angle,
Hmm.
throwing side, below the belt or yeah, Lee's one of the better, minor league options for them to bring up then.
Totally. The Brewers dealt from some bullpen depth, trading Nick Mears as well as outfielder Isaac Collins to the Royals in exchange for Angel Zerpa. Zerpa is expected to be stretched out as a starter, which makes sense why the Brewers gave up so much for
Yeah.
the lefty. But there's still a chance that he returns to the bullpen where he's been pretty mediocre. But I'm sort of interested to see what the Brewers pitching development can do with Angel Serpa. The Royals, meanwhile, bring aboard Mears, who has been very good when healthy and outside of Colorado.
Yeah, the Brewers currently have 5 lefties listed in their bullpen. Um, which yeah, is obviously more than every other team, but I imagine if it's not Zerpa I mean someone of those guys has to end up in the
Yeah.
rotation. Zerpa's a weird one to me. I do think he's better as even as a reliever than his numbers show. There's the numbers on his pitches, the PLV stuff plus on his pitches is a little bit better than what we've seen. Um, it's a weird it is a weird trade overall. I think Mears, looking into him last year, and first half of the season, his velo was way down. It did get progressively better as the second half went along, but he was never trusted. I mean, he wasn't on the playoff roster. They didn't. It wasn't like a trusted arm for them down the stretch.
Mhm.
But that being said, um, if we get the good Nick Mears, he's probably the best option to take over that closer role if Carlos Estevez gets hurt or implodes or whatever. Until we see again like Lucas Hursigs and other this whole Kansas City bullpens like guys who kind of took steps back last year, but maybe it's not over for them yet. Like maybe you know what I mean. I'm not sure. So, we'll talk about the next trade too. Like Matt
Mhm.
Strahm is like I I don't know if there's anything left. There could be. Um, but yeah, I mean Mears gives them. I honestly think Zerpa, especially if the Brewers are able to turn Zerpa into a good starter, then this trade's not going to look good
Mhm.
for the Royals. Even though I think everyone at first was like, "Wow, how do the Royals fleece the Brewers in this deal?" Like Angel Zerpa, but I feel like I trust the Brewers organization more to get to. I feel like they know what they're doing with this
Mhm.
more than the Royals. So yeah, very interesting trade to see how this plays, like where it's at, like mid-season. Like like is this like post Colorado early stage Nick Mears and Milwaukee Nick Mears,
Mhm.
or is Angel Zerpa taking steps forward? Yeah, it's an interesting deal.
Yeah, I think I thought the same thing of like, why would the Brewers do this deal? Until I realized Isaac Collins was like a 30-year-old rookie last
Yeah,
year.
yeah, but he's like a weird one because like he doesn't make any money, so it's like you're not saving money from giving, or
Uh-huh.
it's just like just threw him in. Like this guy
But
was
if
in.
if that's what it took to get Zerpa,
Well,
then
that's
I
what
feel like it makes sense.
they must have like some really high hope or something they see in Zerpa that
I mean,
like
there's also an extra year of control on Zerpa. He's
yeah
only 26 next year. Mears is going to be 30,
yeah I know, and
29.
Mears has no options as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's yeah, I'm interested to see what like Zerpa now as a name, even if he sticks in the bullpen, I
Mhm.
feel like he'll probably perform better in Milwaukee just because we've seen Milwaukee just does incredible things for relievers. It's like that's the
Right.
one destination now. It used to be obviously like the Rays, and I don't know if they're that team anymore, but like the Brewers still continue to churn out. Grant Anderson last year was like the next
Right.
guy.
And I
So
feel like the next man up is Craig Yoho. I feel like this
yeah, that's
makes
the
some
next.
room for Yoho to have a breakout.
I know. I know. I never trust rookie relievers. Now he's past the rookie season, so I mean, yeah, put last year behind him.
Mhm.
Hopefully, yeah, I think he'll make an impact, especially if they end up moving Trevor McGill, like
Right.
they keep
They need a
talking about.
righty.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like almost like this is like Astros esque. Yeah, I mean it's except for at least their
The
two top
opposite.
guys are righties. Yeah, but like the
Oh, no,
Astros.
the exact same, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like the Anderson would be the only other lefty outside of Uribe
Mhm.
and McGill, and then yeah, Yoho. Um, yeah, Yoho's gonna have to have a good season for them.
Yeah, I could see somebody like Logan Henderson also factoring into the bullpen. He was pretty interesting as a starter last year, and he's pretty young. If they don't find room for him in the rotation, he could be pretty good out of the bullpen.
Yeah, Tobias Myers too. I don't know, like he's still probably more of a rotation guy for them, but
Yeah,
yeah, there's interesting righties there.
for
Just
sure.
all starters.
For sure. And you hinted at this one, but the Royals didn't stop with the acquisition of Nick Mears. They then went ahead and traded for Matt Strahm from the Phillies in exchange for Jonathan Bolin. Strahm is or has been one of the best southpaws in baseball over the past few years, was really good for the Phillies and really solidifies this Royals bullpen. And when I saw both of these moves come through and I checked on that Royals bullpen, I was pretty surprised at how solid it looks. I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in Carlos Estevez, but Lucas Urseg could take a step forward. Matt Strom is very reliable. Nick Mears has some pretty good ceiling. I like what Daniel Lynch did last year, even though he's not a strikeout arm. And they have Alex Lang, who could have a big bounce back this
Yeah.
season as well. So there's lots of guys that don't really move you, don't really get you excited, but I feel confident in this bullpen that it at least is gonna survive the regular season.
There's names. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like it's definitely an upgrade. And again, like Strahm is going to be fine. He's going to be good this season. This 1 year he's got left on his deal. He'll be fine. I there was definitely some signs of regression last year, but now he's going back to Kansas City. It's a better situation for him. I mean, obviously for him, given how I I don't know if you've seen like the stories about what was kind of going on with him and the team and the locker room or whatever.
Is he just, like, really liberal or something?
No, I don't know. It
Really?
might be the opposite. I don't know.
With,
There
like,
is
Bryce Harper and Kyle
That's true.
Schwarber and
I,
Garrett Stubbs in there? Oh,
yeah,
they
it's
doing
true.
some weird things over there in Philadelphia.
There was I didn't see. I just saw that like he didn't get along with people or
Hmm,
he didn't like how the bullpen was used or how he was used last year or
sure.
something.
Weird.
So yeah, like he wanted out of Philly. But yeah, Kansas City back where he's had success is obviously a good fit for him. And for a guy with a lot of fly ball tendencies, that's a better situation.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, like again, this trade too. Everyone was like, how did Kansas City get away with this? I'm like,
Yeah.
Jonathan Bolin's very very interesting. I was gonna talk like if he still was in Kansas City, I was like if I had to make bold predictions, I would be like
Mhm.
Jonathan Bolin's taking over the closer role in Kansas City this
Wow.
year. Like he's apparent that might be. I mean, he's gonna. I don't know where he's gonna pitch in Philadelphia because there's. I think it was some of the drive line guys were talking about how Bolin
Mhm.
he needs to be stretched out as a starter again, and it
Right.
makes sense. He's got four good pitches.
Mhm.
And in Philly, he could easily, maybe they don't have Painter in the rotation right away, and Bolin can start the year as their fifth starter.
Mhm.
Again, so like these guys like Zerpa and like Bolin and like really deep like A only or both NL only guys. Like I planned an NL only, like Bolin and Zerpa are now very much on my radar as like if these guys are the fifth starter for these teams or they make the rotation or even if they're in good bullpen spots like these are pretty good arms that Kansas City gave up for Mears and Strahm, who are also they're more established arms, but long term, I don't know how this works out, for Kansas City because Mears is only there for what 2 more years and Strahm's there for just
Mhm.
this year. So Bolin has 5 more years of control and
I
just
know.
really, really interesting stuff there in his profile. I think yeah, I still like him better. I see the appeal as a starter. I think he can make it work there, but I think he could also
Mhm.
just be like a power reliever who is like a setup closer. Like I joke because his name's Jonathan Bolin, and he kind of looks like Jonathan Broxton. He's like Jonathan Broxton 2.0, but like I see
Sure, he's
something like that.
huge.
Yeah, he's a huge dude, throws hard. There's a lot of upside there. So
Yeah. I mean, I see the untapped potential. He had a 16% swinging strike rate last year and just a 25% strikeout rate. So, I mean, the ceiling is like a 30% strikeout rate there
yeah,
if they can really probably just fix his arsenal a little bit, prioritize some pitches over others. Like if he just
that's
throws
the
his
thing.
slider, I think more
Yeah,
than any of his other pitches and maybe goes to sinker more than the four seamer because it's better.
right.
There's a lot of potential there.
I think you either gotta shorten up that pitch mix and just be a
Mhm.
bullpen guy, or if you want to continue kind of mingling as a starter, like yeah, the pitch mix does work as a starter, but I think it's better if you just take away two of those pitches
Yeah.
and become just a dominant late inning reliever. I think that's definitely in the cards too.
So Philly's bullpen looks a lot different, having added Brad Keller, Jonathan Bolin, and Zach Pop, but they lost a couple guys. I still think it looks really interesting.
Yeah,
There's a lot of upside here. I mean, you don't have Matt Strom anymore. You don't have like Jeff Hoffman from a couple years ago. You're missing some notable guys, but I still have faith in this Phillies bullpen. It really used to be Dave Dombrowski used to not be able to build a bullpen, but he seems to
yeah.
have knocked out that weakness.
And they're gonna have, like, a bad weekend, like, the first weekend of the year, and people are on Twitter are gonna be like, "Oh, the Phillies bullpen's still an issue." It's like,
Yeah.
"Dude, where have you been the last 3 years, 4 years?" Like, it's been really good for the most part. Like, I don't know. They'll be
Right.
fine. This bullpen will not be an issue. Won't be the issue for that team. Their rotation depth is a question mark, and, yeah,
Mhm.
the bottom of the order and outfield and all that could also be addressed. But yeah,
Mhm. I mean,
Phillies bullpen could be good.
if that wasn't enough, they also added Kyle Bachus in a
Yeah,
trade with the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for outfielder Avery Owusu Asiedu. Uh,
that
uh,
sounds perfect. That sounded
Thank you,
exactly
thank you.
right.
All right. Backus is not like an overwhelming guy. He had a 19% strikeout rate last year, but he's shown a higher ceiling in the minors. At AAA last year, he had a 31% strikeout rate. So maybe there's some untapped potential there. He'll be 28 next year, but he is a southpaw, and that will add some depth to a bullpen that, as we just talked about, lost Matt Strahm. So a lot of pressure on Alvarado and Tanner Banks, but hopefully Kyle Backus can take some of that off.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's depth, it's a depth piece, but yeah, it gives you if something else happens with Alvarado, if Banks struggles, but Banks has been so low key, really like just solid for them the last 2 years. I like Banks a lot, but yeah, Backus
Mhm.
at least like, he's got multiple options, gives them a guy they can bring up and down on the roster when needed. Definitely, he's not he probably could be a full time MLB reliever. I think stuff wise, he'd be fine in most bullpens, but in Philly, yeah, he's probably more of an up and down guy for them. But yeah, one with not a huge upside, but solid left-handed depth, which every team wants. So yeah,
Definitely. All right. And then maybe the most notable transaction
uh,
over the past couple of weeks. This one, you are going to predict that it will be always known as the Mason Montgomery trade. Very surprising to see this go down, but we had a three-team trade between the Pirates, Rays, and Astros. The Pirates sent right-handed starter Mike Burrows to the Astros, and they received Brandon Lau, Jake Mangum, and Southpaw Mason Montgomery from the
all
Rays.
for
The
Mike
Rays,
Burrows.
I Mike Burrows is a,
I
a young starter with a lot of control, and
Yeah,
maybe the Astros see some potential in there. But yeah, that's crazy. That's all they had to give up for Brandon Lau, Mangum, and Montgomery.
Ingram's
But
kind of good too. Yeah, I know it's a weird.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's pretty interesting. The Rays sent Lau, Mangum, and Montgomery to the Pirates, and then received outfielder Jacob Melton and right-hander Anderson Brito from the Astros, two of the Astros' top two prospects. And the Astros sent Jacob Melton and Anderson Brito to the Rays, and will receive right-hander Mike Burrows. But lot of moving parts, a lot of moving parts here. I think the Pirates really fleeced everybody here, and the Astros. I don't know why they
Yeah.
got involved with this. Um, but man, losing Mason Montgomery, I mean, I don't think it's a huge blow to the Rays bullpen, which is already one of the best in baseball. But he seemed like one of the brightest relief pitching talents out there. I mean, I had been dubbing him the left-handed Mason Miller, and now he'll go to Pittsburgh, where that bullpen is cool.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
Justin Lawrence and Mason Montgomery, 1-2.
I overall, I mean, at least it's fun to see the Pirates like doing good things and
Finally.
yeah, like they're building something here. They're it could be a mess, but it could be really good. I don't I yeah, it's I think the clear winner of this deal is the Pirates, and then like I don't know what the Astros if they have they have high hopes for Burrows. Sure, they might be able to turn him into something. And the Rays getting, I mean, Jacob Melton's like what like Jacob Lau like Lau 2.0 maybe.
Mhm.
Anderson Brito's maybe they see something really exciting in his profile, but he kind of might he might be like more of a reliever down the road anyway. So yeah, just giving up Montgomery. I mean, they were gonna give up Brendan Lau. I get that. But like, yeah, Mangum had, you know, I don't know. It's a weird trade. I think for Montgomery, the big issue with him is that still fastball, his fastball command needs to be better. Once it does get better, if it does get better, like that fastball is the best like left-handed fastball amongst any reliever in baseball.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, his secondary is not great. His slider is not great, but it doesn't really need to be. It just needs to kind of exist as like something he can get over from time to time and just flash because the fastball is just so dominant.
Right.
Um, but yeah, he had bad luck with, home runs last year, pitching outside at Steinbrenner Field. Like, there was some fluky home runs he gave up. That was a lot, a lot of the issues come from that. And then there was the bouts of command, that, the command issues that just came and went. But I love I mean, the Pirate, this is a good situation. I think in Pittsburgh, it's a better ballpark, better situation for him. I really I mean, I love the idea of him just let him kind of like what like the Red Sox told like Chapman last year, just like throw your fastball down the middle, just throw it as hard, like just throw it. It's elite. No one's gonna touch it. Just like
Mhm.
throw it over the plate, man. Like you'll be fine. I feel like if Montgomery just does that, like he's the closer there by I mean by August at the latest, and
Wow.
I don't know. There's just so much. There's the we talk about the Rays, and it was exciting that he was on the Rays because like the Rays will figure it out with Montgomery, and it's weird that they gave up on him, and that does kind of concern me. But again, I don't know if the Rays are the same as the Rays of the past. It's they've been making weird moves. Um, but yeah, I mean Pittsburgh not the best. I mean they do pretty well pitching development wise, so
Mhm.
this isn't really bad there, and the opportunity is just like perfect where like you have Santana and Soto on the last year of their deals. If the Pirates don't compete after all this spending this offseason, then you move Santana and Soto at the deadline, and at least then you have Montgomery um there to become the close. I mean, I feel like they're hoping that they have their closer of the future here in Mason Montgomery. I don't care that he's left-handed. They shouldn't care
Mhm.
that he's left-handed. Stuff plays up to, where he can be that type of closer for them. So
Yeah.
exciting for Mason Montgomery. I think, yeah, I don't know. I like him better than Santana and Soto right now, but I'm sure they'll give the veterans a
Yeah.
chance first. So yeah, just deeper, like so you're in 16 team, deeper leagues. I still, putting a flyer on Mason Montgomery late in drafts doesn't sound bad to me.
No, not at all. I mean, I think there's a clearer path in Pittsburgh for Montgomery to become the closer than there was in Tampa Bay.
Right. That's yeah. That's just trying to yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little less faith in the pitching development, but maybe a change in scenery will help Montgomery do that. I would love to see him close. His ceiling is just so high. He's got some of the best stuff in all of baseball. His fastball is
Oh,
incredible. Gets a ton of swing and miss, and I think the Pirates really got a steal with that one because not only do you get the power hitting second baseman and the contact oriented outfielder, but then you get the future closer in Mason Montgomery, and all they had to give up was one of the
Mike
plenty
Burrows.
of yeah, I mean, they have so many young starters, so
Who
really works out well for the Pirates.
Yeah, who Mike Burrows, I mean, going into last year, like he was still like kind of like he was a top 10 prospect for them, but he was like
Mhm.
25 and like you weren't sure if he would ever stay healthy. And yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't even have like a huge like breakout. It was a pretty solid season for him. Like just being able to flip that for this
Mhm.
return is really, yeah, really nice for a team, especially that can afford to give up a starter with Jared Jones coming back and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, and with Montgomery departing, I guess we can talk about what the closer role looks like in Tampa Bay. It's
Yeah.
likely to be a mix of Griffin Jackson, Garrett Clevenger. Clevenger's the only lefty in this bullpen, so maybe
Right.
it's
So
mostly Griffin Jacks now. But the a reporter asked Kevin Cash what he thought of the bullpen shaking out without Pete Fairbanks. And he said, I think try to keep it as fluid as possible. We've got guys that have certainly closer stuff, closer mentality, and have closed games between. You said it, Clevenger, Jax, Manny Rodriguez. I don't want to leave anybody out, but there are guys that pitch with a lot of confidence at the back end of games. Weirdly enough, he mentioned Manuel Rodriguez and not Edwin Uceta, who has
mm.
been one of the top options in this bullpen. But yeah, no more Mason Montgomery, no more Pete Fairbanks. It's going to be a much different looking bullpen in Tampa Bay in 2026.
Yeah, I think for well you said a thing. I do. He was originally, I think he was mentioned not by Cash but by someone in player development or
Hmm.
one of the GMs or someone mentioned you said along with Jackson Clevenger after they um didn't pick up Pete Fairbanks' option. And
Mhm.
I think that's the front office is like, yeah, they have Jax, Clevenger, and Uceta, but I think Cash really likes to use Uceta in that like multi-inning, early, like high leverage fireman role. So I
Mhm.
wonder if Cash isn't even like thinking about Uceta as a potential closer because he's so dead set in him in that role, which works for him, works for the team, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a very interesting tea leaf because yeah, I think and then, like you said, like Clevenger is now the only lefty, so is like I mean, Jax should be the guy to roster here. I think that's already been established, but I think it's even becoming more of a thing where y- Jax should end up with the most saves here.
Yeah.
And even yeah, like what are they? They're gonna have a second lefty. I don't know. Maybe Steven Matz winds up back in the bullpen. They're paying him a lot of money if that's the case. But I don't know. Ian Seymour too is also there as a lefty who can kind of do both start relief. Um, but yeah, it does it that does kind of create a hole as for that secondary lefty in that bullpen. But yeah, again, you can't just use Clevenger in the ninth inning if he's your only lefty. You're gonna have to use him earlier in games. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think with the trade and then this what Cash said, I feel like the arrow for Griffin Jacks is pointing up.
Yeah.
I don't
2
know where.
arrows.
Yeah, I don't know where I haven't looked at ADPs recently or pretty much at all. It feels too early. I know people do it, but I feel like wherever Jax is going, it's probably still too low,
Yeah.
and that comes with a lot of risk. But I don't know if I don't know if I said it on our podcast or on another one, but we were drafting Griffin Jacks last season before the season, because he was just such a good reliever. Like he was just such a dominant reliever
Mhm.
who would get like 5 saves when Johan Duran wasn't available. Like, but he
Yeah.
was just that type of like, dominant force. So if he's still and he can be like he was really unlucky last year. The stuff was still there. He still can be really good. Yeah, Griffin Jax is going to be a difference maker. I think he's one of those guys you kind of have to go like one of my flags. You have to draft guys
Like
right
AJ
now.
Puck last year.
Yeah, Griffin. Yeah, I think that's kind of the same feeling, but I feel like there's even more. I mean, yeah, definitely more upside with Griffin Jax, but yeah, very similar
Mhm.
to AJ Puck last year. Hopefully he stays healthy, unlike AJ Puck did. But yeah, Puck was on the right track. We just, who knows that he was going to get Tommy John.
Right. Quickly back to the Pirates. They had a reliever that was projecting to have a breakout season this year in
Yeah.
Carmen Mlodzinski, but the club is looking to transition him back to the rotation.
Yeah, I again, these the guys, going back and forth between the rotation and bullpen, and like he's had a pretty good amount of chances in the rotation. It has never really worked out. He's mediocre at best, but his stuff really, really plays up more in a bullpen role, and
Mhm.
I was getting really excited for him as a setup. I mean, him, like, yeah, like you said, him, Lawrence, and Montgomery, like in the back end there. Maybe Kyle Nicholas takes a step forward. That was the future was what of that bullpen was
Mhm.
Mlodzinski to Montgomery. And but when Jared Jones comes back, that could kick Mlodzinski back into the
I
bullpen.
mean, that's what's confusing to me because they have so many high upside starters. I mean, they also
Yeah,
have like Hunter Barco and Thomas
I know,
Harrington and
I know.
like, guys that aren't on the 40 man, like, what's his face? I just saw him. Where did he go? Anthony Solometo. Isn't that guy
Yeah,
good
yeah,
too?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get why they would do that, but,
Christian
maybe just
Curtis.
to
Yeah,
add some depth there, maybe just give him one last shot. But yeah, I mean, I do see Lonzinski returning to the bullpen. There's too much upside there.
yeah. He was so good in that bullpen role and just so mediocre at best in the starter role. I don't know. His stuff played up more out of the bullpen. So I hopefully he's and if he if he thrives in the rotation, he might stick around. But yeah, with Jones coming back and like Barco and Harrington.
Mhm.
And for this team, I mean, this team is, I don't want to say they're going all in, but for the Pirates, it feels kind of like they're going, all in as all in as they can go.
Mhm.
Like, throw a couple million at like a potential fifth starter, a free agent veteran or something. Like just like you don't. need him to eat innings for you. I don't think. I think you could find someone to eat those innings and
Mhm.
keep that bullpen where it's at. Although, I mean, like Isaac Matson's still there, and he'll get a chance because of his good ERA last year, but he wasn't that great. So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of movement, I believe, between Lazinski, between the rotation and bullpen. But he should find his way back into the bullpen at some point next year and hopefully stick.
In other NL Central news, the Cardinals have gotten a lot of calls about lefty Jojo Romero. A couple of teams that have shown interest are both in the AL East, including the Yankees and the Orioles. But it seems like Jojo Romero is likely to be on the move at some point this offseason.
Yeah, I think like Heim Bloom's kind of taking his time going through like what he's gutting from this roster
Yeah.
that
Who
he's
can I
moving.
trade to the Red Sox?
Yeah, Romero, I mean, honestly, Donovan and Romero both could be like both make sense too.
Hmm.
So they might both end up here. But yeah, I think Romero is probably one of the next, if not the next guy to go. It might be Donovan might be the next guy to go, and then it could be Romero. So I don't think he'll be there much longer. You're probably not there
Hmm.
opening day. I don't. If you're drafting early, I don't think he's even worth a dart. Um, I'm sure his cost isn't too high, but even if he does stay there, I think Riley O'Brien or Matt
Right.
Swanson are still better
Right.
options. So yeah, I'm just kind of out on the Jojo Romero as closer experience.
Okay. The last rumor we have is that the Braves apparently offered Edwin Diaz a 5-year deal, which I think says a couple of things. I think one, it shows that Edwin Diaz really wanted to play for the Dodgers, which makes me like him a lot less. I mean, I had posited that, you know, there's no way a club didn't offer Diaz more money and more years than the Dodgers did for
We
3
don't
years
know.
and
Yeah, we don't know the money or
right. But it had to be more overall money, more
yeah,
guaranteed dollars, which is
sure.
what I was suggesting. But Diaz preferred going to the Dodgers to chase a ring. But I think that also says a lot about how much faith the Braves had in Raisel Iglesias, despite handing him a $16 million contract. In my mind, when I read this note from you, I was like, okay, they probably like pounced on Iglesias, knowing how quickly the bullpen market moves in free
Right.
agency, and was like, if we can get somebody else, we'll feel a lot better. But if we can't get anybody else, at least we've locked in Iglesias. So there's a
Yeah.
possibility that Suarez just opens the season as the closer, considering that news.
That's what like is if you're not signing Edwin Diaz and being like, no, Iglesias is still our closer. Like that would not have happened. Like you
Yeah,
couldn't even fake that. So yeah, I am starting to I don't think I believe I don't think I believe. It was always kind of fishy when they said that like Iglesias was still their guy. Um, but yeah, man, I think like you said exactly. It's they wanted to at least lock down. Okay, we at least have Iglesias. Like 'cause they probably knew at that point Joe Jimenez was not going to be available to start the year, and they had no one else. So
hmm,
it's like, all right, let's at least bring him back. We'll still try to get an upgrade, if we can. Which they were able to with Suarez at least. So I think I don't know. I'm not drafting Iglesias. I don't think at this point. Suarez now becomes kind of interesting given that there'll be a discount. I don't know what the discount is right now. But I think like if I'm drafting one, I think I'm going Suarez at this point. Even if it was the same price, I think I would go Suarez because if they were like giving if they were going to give Edwin Diaz a 5-year deal, they really didn't want Rafael Iglesias as their closer.
right.
Like, that's just how it is.
I think might be most ideal if they just use like Suarez in the first half and Iglesias in the second half. Really
That's
capitalize on both of those guys' shape of their seasons.
that's a good point because yeah, Suarez is a better first half, and
Yeah.
obviously Iglesias in the second half the last couple of
Hmm.
years. Yeah, I mean that might be the way to go. I was
Yeah.
even thinking like could Iglesias even be like available in like a trade earlier than we've like maybe that's like a guy like there's not a lot of like player for player like need for need trades, but maybe if
Yeah.
there's a team that's like I don't know, the Braves do need some help on I don't know, in the outfield or in the rotation. Like maybe you flip
Hmm.
Iglesias for, or maybe maybe when Jimenez comes back, you can kind of just flip Iglesias for a need.
Yeah.
That
That'd
might
be
be
weird.
it would be weird, but like they like because if you it does feel like again like they kind of like panicked and were like we need to keep him, we need to bring him back just in case. But now that they were able to get the replacement in Suarez, it's like okay now it's kind of makes Iglesias a little bit more available, or I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if a team would even uh, it's a weird situation because they get 16 million even at the time felt a little high, but now given like the market and what other people have gotten, that definitely that 16 million feels pretty high for Iglesias.
Maybe when they get like Joe Jimenez back mid-season, they consider dealing Iglesias.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if Jimenez comes back and looks healthy, it's like okay, now we can kind of
Uh-huh.
um, move him for a position of need or whatever it might be.
Weird, weird. All right, we'll see how that
Yeah,
works out. Last bit of news: Joe Kelly retired
yeah.
from baseball. He definitely had his highs and his lows. I'll always remember him for the frowny face he did at Carlos Correa.
Yeah, definitely a character of the game. One to definitely, yeah, not afraid to shake it up. Just a true bullpen, guy, through and through.
Hmm.
Yeah, he had some good moments with the Red Sox as well. It was, um, yeah, when was the last time we saw him pitch? I mean, he was still throwing pretty
2024.
hard. Yeah, still throwing pretty hard, but yeah,
I know. I was surprised he didn't get another chance. He was always one of those
yeah.
guys that was severely underperforming his
Oh, yeah, well, we've
ERA
talked about it every year.
estimators.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's always on that list, and maybe when you're always on that list, something else might be wrong, so,
yeah.
yeah, he's on the wrong list where Carlos Estevez was, on the right side
Hmm.
where maybe the ERA estimators don't mean anything, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, here's to a great career from Joe Kelly. And now we'll close things out by looking at the remaining relievers on the board. Very few high end options. The remaining, most notable remaining free agent relievers right now are Sir Anthony Dominguez, Tyler Kinley, Pierce Johnson, Scott Barlow, Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech, Paul Sewald, Ryan Stanek, and Ryan Presley and Chad Green.
I see Ryan Presley and Chad Green's name next to all these teams who need closers, and I'm like, what? Why would anyone want those guys closing out games? I don't care that they have experience. They were so. It's not even that they were bad last
In
year.
like
It's like,
reports,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's crazy.
I know, and I don't know if they're real or not, but like I mean, Presley. There's a very good chance Presley's cooked. It's not even just how bad he was last year, but like
Mhm.
the trend wasn't great. There's a lot of there's health concerns there. Same with Chad Green. It's like their careers are both at the point where you bring them back as like spring training invite guys at most. I
Yeah,
think I don't think they get a guaranteed contract.
right. And there are plenty of teams that are looking for closers. I mean, these aren't really great options, but the teams that are looking for closers, all these guys would probably be upgrades. The Twins, A's, Rangers, Nationals, Diamondbacks, Giants, Cardinals, and White Sox are all likely to be searching for a closer. I sort of want to like the way you've put this on a sheet. I sort of want to like draw the line to like match
I
up
know
the
that's what I.
team with the player. So who are you putting on the Twins?
Um, the Twins probably. I mean, that's got to be like let's see. That I could feel like Paul Sewald, Scott Barlow, a lower upside veteran with closer experience who they hope to get, a couple months out of and then trade at the deadline for something. I don't think they're in play for like a Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Mhm.
But I think they need someone with closer experience. So that's why I'm like, Seawald might be the best choice for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Has interest has been in the division for a long time, or for a
Uh-huh.
long, not a long time, but with the Guardians and um who else was he with last year? The Tigers for a second. So
Mhm.
yeah, Twins make sense, I think, with Seawald. I don't know.
All right. How about the A's?
I feel like the A's could. I feel like the A's should try to make some sort of splash. Like, I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez it would be fun. I don't think they'll spend that, especially after they just bombed on the Leclerc signing last year.
Mhm.
Um, I want something fun here, though. Like, all right, maybe Michael Kopech. Then we'll go with Kopech there. At least there's a lot of upside and strikeout ability, which you're going to need pitching in Sacramento. So that give
Mhm.
me Michael Kopech.
All right, for the Texas Rangers, who are you placing on the Rangers?
I think we already talked about it. I think it's
Oh,
Kirby Yates.
yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense.
it's got to be Yates. That should have already happened at this point.
Yeah. Okay, the Nationals, they traded
This
Jose
is
Ferrer. Who do you got going to the Nationals?
they need a guy too. Like they need like, because I like the Nationals and like what they've already been doing. I'm gonna go with Tyler Kinley.
Mhm.
Because I think he's one of the more underrated guys here. Um, yeah, give me Tyler Kinley.
All right. The Diamondbacks have a lot of injured guys, and it looks like they're going to be relying on Kevin Ginkel. Who do you have surpassing Ginkel?
There's been interest with Pierce Johnson there. When I predicted free agents back in November, I had Pierce Johnson going to Arizona. I don't know why. It just something makes sense to me about it.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say Pierce Johnson, Arizona.
Okay. What about the Giants, who are relying on Ryan Walker right now?
Who do we have left?
You
That
got Dominguez
I didn't
left,
put Dominguez. Yeah, Dominguez. Go spend what's Dominguez gonna cost? $7 million. Like go spend
right?
that on him. Just see what
Mhm.
happens. It could be a pretty good fit.
Yeah. The Cardinals have a few guys, but nobody that really stands out as a
Yeah,
closer. Who do you think they'll bring aboard?
probably they'll probably have a spring training invite for Presley or Chad Green. That's
Sure.
probably
That makes
the
sense.
situation there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
give me Ryan Stanek to the White Sox. I like that. I like how this worked out.
Okay. Yeah. Ryan
I
Stanek
think
to the White
Stanek
Sox.
is always kind of he's like in that Joe Kelly realm of like underperforming his ERA estimators.
Yeah.
But he's always the strikeout stuff's there. The pit like his pitch is still grayed out very well. Um, yeah, low risk, high upside play. I think for the White Sox as a veteran makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much everything. I mean, there's not very many more notable guys
It's a couple
remaining. So unless
lefties.
there's
Yeah,
unless there's a huge trade or something, we're probably going to be able to focus on things other than transactions in our next few episodes. But sort of good that we knocked everything out in a pair of episodes. But yeah, a
yeah,
lot of movement here across this offseason. It'll be exciting to see how things start to shake out in spring training, which closer battles we'll be watching, where the ADP is lining up for all these guys. But lots of movement. It's been a fun offseason thus far, especially for relief pitchers. But that'll do it for this episode of the In the Pen podcast. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your socials and anything else you're working on?
yeah. You can find me on social media at I am Rick Graham. Not kind of have some things in the pipeline, but yeah, just kind of trying to focus on getting the player profiles for all the relievers done
Mhm.
for our draft kit. So that's we got a month away from that. So yeah, that's basically what I've been going to be working on for the next month or so.
All right. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler. You can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. You can find all of my work at crumplerbaseball.com and more of it over at baseballhq.com. Still be doing the podcast here, trying to get in the groove of starting pitching stuff and putting out some stuff into 2026. But for now, that'll do it for this episode number 145 of the In the Pen podcast. We'll talk to you all in a couple of weeks.